Hey everybody, welcome to the Future Stars Forecast. It is a new season, and I could not think of anybody better to come along with me as we embark on this journey, as we look at the 2-year-olds horses to watch, than Wesley Ward. And he joins me live from his barn right there off Rice Road in Lexington, Kentucky. And Wesley, first of all, I got to give you big thanks again, because you're actually flying out tomorrow with your horses to Royal Ascot, or to at least get prepared for Royal Ascot.
Yeah, I'm flying tomorrow morning, actually. I'm going to be leaving here at 7. This way I can catch an 8:30 or 8:20 a.m. flight to Heathrow, to London, because those over the years and years that jet lag just kills me the first few days over there. So I'm going to try something new and try to be ahead of the horses. They're going to leave tomorrow evening, and I'll leave tomorrow morning and kind of get settled in there.
Are you taking the whole family again?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they wouldn't let me go without them. I'll tell you that.
So, who is harder to get ready for the long journey, the horse or the human?
The horses, they travel, no problem. They're going to leave here tomorrow night and band to Indianapolis, and then from Indianapolis they're going to have a direct flight over to Stansted, and they're going to get off and they're going to go to Chelmsford Racecourse, which is only about 20 minutes from Stansted Airport, and they're going to check right into the stalls for a few days until Sunday morning we arrive at the racecourse.
Well, before we get into the squad that you're sending out, when you first went over there, and you're also the first American-based trainer to have a winner at Royal Ascot. You won back in 2009 with Strike the Tiger at 33-1, and then you won the very next day. Did you ever? That was with Jealous Again and the Queen Mary. Did you imagine that this was going to be something, a meet that you were going to attend going forward to the extent that you have?
No, not at all. I was kind of taking a shot. And, even a great friend of mine back then was Bobby Frankel, and he'd acquired so many horses from Europe. And I sort of came up with this on my own without even speaking with him. And when I decided to do it, I told him what I was doing, and he just kind of shook his head, said, "You don't know what you're getting into, young and ready to go and charged up and fired up at it. Had some nice 2-year-olds going over there, and had a nice horse for Mr. Ramsey Cannonball that we were going to go look for, and just thought I was going to, very positive. I've always been positive, thinking I was going to do well, didn't know what to expect, and kind of took it on. And I could tell, though, when I got there, and everyone I talked to here, they were kind of like thinking I was crazy.
Well, you're not crazy. You've now won 12 races there at that prestigious meeting. Again, Strike the Tiger in the Windsor Castle, Queen Mary with Jealous Again that same year in 2009. 2013, the Norfolk with No Nay Never, who has just turned into a tremendous sire. The 2014 Windsor Castle with Hootenanny. 2015 Diamond Jubilee with Undrafted. The Queen Mary with Acapulco that same year. 2016 Queen Mary with Lady Aurelia, who in that same year, she did something unprecedented in that she was named champion 2-year-old filly, not only here in the States with the Eclipse Award, but she also became the first US-based horse to be honored with a Cartier. The 2017 King Stand with Lady Aurelia, the Sandringham with Conti Partiro, 2018 Norfolk with Shang Shang Shang, the 2020 Queen Mary with Campanelle, and the 2021 Commonwealth Cup with Campanelle again. And it's just, amazing. You've had further international success, because we also did see, and still at 2 years old, No Nay Never and Lady Aurelia and Campanelle go on to win the Prix Morny at Deauville. So, just the international success to have. Do you even look back at your own training job and think, wow, I did that?
I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But you really, you're just kind of pushing forward, hoping that you can keep it going, and trying to sort of identifying horses early on in the fall of the year that you can possibly get ready and plan a comeback race to see if they're good enough to warrant going over there. And that's where Keeneland comes in. In the springtime, it's my home base, and they'll have some stakes lined up for the colts and fillies, 3 or 4 year olds, to see if they're good enough actually to go there.
Well, that's the other part of the equation, what you're talking about. So, for example, here in the States, if you're going to have a 5 furlong race, there's that hook there. They're going to take a turn at Royal Ascot. They're going to go on the straight. And so, how much harder is it to prepare a horse here and then take them over there and have them ready to basically go a type of ground that they haven't been before, really?
Sometimes it's made out to be more than it is, and then sometimes it is more than it is. I found that in the past. I found, like, undrafted, he won probably the biggest race I've ever won, and in the Diamond Jubilee that year, and
Yeah.
the Queen presents 2 trophies. She presents a trophy on the last day, which is the Diamond Jubilee, and the Queen's Vase, and I think that I took him over the year prior. He didn't come to Ascot, but I took him to the July Stakes, Newmarket, and he ran a very credible 4th with Frankie. But I think what he learned in that race is he learned, just as you were saying, the straight course, which was foreign to him, and that just made all the difference in the world when we brought him over the second time. And they lined up and they opened the gate, and he seen there was no turn, knew there wasn't a turn on the horse, and he had probably the greatest ride I've ever had in my life, especially at a big race on that, and on the biggest day in Royal Ascot. Frankie rode just a genius ride for this particular horse. The horse needed a patient ride, as he was kind of a fast horse, and he needed to get to the outside. He would never come through or inside of horses in the States, or there for that matter. And Frankie was able to get him back and ease him to the outside. And when he said go, away he went, and he just timed it to where we beat the Australian champion, Brazen Bow, right on the line. And it was just an exhilarating race, and with my kids and my family there, and having the Queen present you the trophy, it's just an indelible memory that not only for me, but my family will always remember, to have something like that happen with them, with a picture of the Queen, and it'll stay with them and myself forever. So that was just awesome. That, and then, like I said, the horse, the first year we went over, I learned a lot too. I didn't know anything about European racing or, straight course or anything like that, to where I had Cannonball in on the King's Stand opening day, and Johnny B went, and he'd won for me with the first day, but he rode this horse that was the first one we ran, and the horse didn't get really running until the last 10 jumps. And when he got off, he said, Wesley, he said, this horse thought there was a turn coming up. He says, I was kind of niggling and going, and the horse was like, what are we going so early for? He said, so he just didn't really go until, the last 10 jumps of the race. And so he said he really didn't even run. And so that's when I made a decision to run him right back, which I'll never ever do, in 4 days, and ran him. And we just got beat right on the line in the race that I was just telling you about. And we had Olivia Palier ride the horse, because Frankie was committed to ride a horse for Billy Mott in the States that day. And had we had Johnny, I think that would have made all the difference. Not that Palier rode a bad race, just that the other jock knew the horse.
Well, it is interesting. And this, I listen, I'm not a trainer, so this might sound stupid, but obviously when you have a turn, you're going to have a lead change and whatnot. And when you're going straight, what goes into the horse's motion, considering that is not part of the equation?
Like I say, every horse is different. So some take right to it, some don't. But American horses, like you just said, when they're used to going around a turn and being asked the last part, they understand that, the first part is, the riders are trying to, the jockeys, and in the morning, the exercise riders and trainers are trying to teach the horses to, even if they're in front or coming from behind, to relax the first part. And then when they turn for home, it's go. So, but, if it's a straightaway, the turn for home could be 6 furlongs, in a sprint. So, it's just, it's all according to, if the horse can do it, or, if you have that one experience, it's a big benefit.
Well, I actually saw a really cool clip today that was posted by At the Races, and it featured Frankie Dettori, and he was talking about perhaps the greatest 2-year-old performance, which he's been part of at Royal Ascot, was Lady Aurelia in the Queen Mary Stakes. And he just and he actually went on to say it might be the best 2-year-old performance we'd ever seen there at Royal Ascot. And he was just talking about how, her gate speed, just right out of there, she's a rocket. And did you, when you saw that performance yourself, and I actually have it here so I can play it on the side, but I mean, obviously you knew you had a tremendous talent. Did you expect she was going to put in a performance that dominant?
You know, I got to be honest with you. I really felt so confident she was going to win that day, because the reasoning is we had her at Arlington Park, and the management team there, um, Chris Polson, for the most part, went out of his way to help us. So we shipped in early and we went over and we breezed her a few times at Arlington. It's a great, beautiful grass course, and they had a big downpour of rain, to where the turf was soggy that morning. And I had told Jose Valdivia, who breezed her for me, I said, look, I've got two other fillies that are going to Ascot, and they don't even compare to this horse. I said, so just give him 5-6 lengths. And I really want to see what she can do. I mean, I'm certain that she's going to be way, way better than these two. I said, and I also want to see if she handles a soft turf, because as you know, here in America at that time, anyways, when it rained and rained and rained, we just took it off. So we have very few horses that we know that do or don't like a soft ground. You know, that's kind of foreign to American trainers, especially me, because they just take it off and they run the race on the dirt. And I know, and I learned a lot from going over there, that, you know, that there's horses that like soft, there's horses that like firm, and that's a big key to the gamblers over there and the trainers and the owners, if they're going to run or not run. So she set back 10 lengths behind the other two horses that I had. They were good. They were winners. You know, the other two that she was working against, and he just was kind of cruising back there. And I tell you what, when he eased her out down the stretch, she went by him so fast, just in a canter. It was like, wow. I said, that what we didn't know, we do know now. If it ever comes up soft ground, that she'll have no issues with it. Yeah. So on the day, Barbara Banke and her team were down in, I think they were in business down in, or vacation, one of the two, in Italy. And she called me and she said, Wesley, are we going to scratch? Because it was heavy ground. I said, no, Barbara. She goes, well, this is a very important filly. I said, believe me, Barbara, that I know about important fillies. I said, I had one, Judy the Beauty. And if I had, this was Judy the Beauty, and I seen what I seen that she did there at Arlington, I'd be running. And I said, you're going to win. And she jumped on a plane, and here we came, and off she went. And then you know the story from there. It's just been a great run.
And then she goes on to win the King's Stand. I mean, whoa, how rewarding. I mean, it sounds kind of like a silly question. Obviously, it's rewarding, and to see your horse that you love and you put a lot of time and effort into and a lot of faith, you know, prove themselves out. But to win on a stage like that, is there a different superlative?
You know, that was kind of a big day as well. Frankie was on her, and he got injured, and so we were fortunate that Johnny V, who rode my first few winners over there, was open and available. He was over riding for, I forgot who he was riding for, Grand Motion or someone, and so we had, you know, our man Johnny up, and he rode her just like he'd been riding in Europe every day of his career. He just rode a beautiful race and did great with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, we have to give her a lot of love, not only because she was a standout performer herself, but because you now have her son, American Rascal, who just put in this tremendous debut performance at Keeneland. He won like the better sent him out. That is for sure. I have the replay here. Just want to make sure I pull up the right one, and it is this. And I remember watching you with Scott Hazelton before the race, the pre-interview, and you said the pressure's on because this is Barbara's favorite. I don't think he let you down.
He didn't. And I'll tell you who didn't let me down was Joel Rosario. You know, and Joel Rosario, you know, I kind of chose him early on and said, look, Joel, if you're willing to put the time in, I'm going to go to bat for you to ride this colt, not only for here, but at Ascot. I said, I think he's going to be a special horse. I said, he comes down with just Ian Brennan from Barbara's team there at the farm just raving about him. And so Joel said, let's do it. And so he would fly in, whether he be in New York or wherever, and breeze this colt from the gate at Payson Park, which is a 2-hour drive north of Gulfstream where he lives. And he really put a lot of time and effort in on this horse. So he really knew a lot about him. Until he got up here to Keeneland, and we turned him over to my favorite, Julio Garcia.
Wow.
works rode Lady Aurelia in her first race and works all these champions that I've had over the years. So he really knew this horse very well. He, as I said, he came in with a lot of really nice works at Barbara's farm. But when he first came to me, as a lot of 2-year-olds do, from a farm in Ocala, where they're used to their surroundings each and every day, and they come to a racetrack with 10 times as many horses on the track as a farm, he was a bit green. Didn't quite show me what Ian had been boasting about, because I think of everything was new to him.
Yeah.
And so we were at his first few works at Payson, from the gate. They were good works, very good works, certainly above average. And then we went down to Palm Meadows, and we went to the gate at Palm Meadows, a different track for a different starting gate. The big gate that they have at Palm Meadows is the starting gate they use for the races, which is what I like to use a lot. And also, we got to go on the grass. So everything Ian told me started to come to fruition. And we got him up to Keeneland. And then there was just so much. I wanted to make sure everything was, it's like, even though he had all the works and everything was done, planned, perfect, I wanted to see something extremely special before I let him over there. So I had talked to Ian and to the Stone Street crew and Barbara, and I said, look, I think we'll wait until Churchill, because it'll be very conducive, that track, 4.5 furlongs, because they break right on the turn, and he's so quick and agile and fast. I said we can utilize that gate speed to get out and over onto the turn. As we were working, all of a sudden, one of those works was like, wow, look at this. We don't need to wait. It's time to go.
Right.
Joel got on the horse, and the good thing about that is that, as you would expect in a 2-year-old maiden 4.5 furlong, there's going to be another fast one in there, at least fast the first part. And there was. And Joel just kind of eased him back like he does, and the reason why I chose the horse. And I was very happy to see the horse rate so kindly.
Yeah.
Let the other horse go, and he just kind of barely eased him out. And when he just kind of moved his hands a little bit, if he had wings, he'd be flying. He was just going 1,000 miles an hour, and it's everything you want to see. But the key to this horse right now, as we're speaking today, is he's very sound. He's never, most 2-year-olds at this time of year, especially as fast as him and as fast as works have been on the grass, and as fast, you would expect some sort of a shin issue or something that you're having to contend with, as I have with horses in the past. Nothing. He's absolutely perfectly sound. I send Barbara videos. When the rider gets up on the horse, he puts his head down. He's very professional. But he's like a kid. Like when you bring him out, and I for a jog up or to walk him back and forth, when Barbara comes to see him, he's jumping and bucking and kicking and playing like you would expect an 8th, 9th, 10th grader to be. A young superstar athlete coming into his own. So he's just a really neat horse to be around.
Oh, I just even watching that stretched run there, and Joel just kind of putting his head down, like, wow. I mean, you could see just from his body language alone just how impressed he was with that performance. It was a hand ride home. It was unbelievable. And so, yeah, now you're going to be going from that dirt debut, and you're going to be taking on the turf. I know he's worked since the video here I'm going to show, which is from May 26th. He had to work on June 2nd and June 9th. But I do have footage of him from Keeneland where he's working in tandem with another debut winner for you, Fandom, who actually did win his debut on the turf. We'll watch them work together first, and then we'll go ahead and show his debut. But yeah, it's got to be really exciting. With American Rascal in particular, the other thing that's fascinating is he's by Curlin. So, here you've got that stamina on the top, and then you just have Lady Aurelia's speed.
Yeah, it was a great mating, and if you look at him, you would think he's pure speed. He's just built, as I've said many times, he's built like a running back in the NFL. He's just small and compact, but just quick and agile and fast. But what I really like about this horse, and Julio has breezed him the last few times in company here, to where he just rates so kindly. And then when the other horse, Fandom, comes to him and sort of even goes by him, Julio's just sitting there on the horse motionless. And he's just, and each and every time that Julio gets off, because visually when you're watching the work, you think, well, which one of the two is better? But when Julio gets off, he kind of cracks a little smile, and he says, Wesley, if I just move my hands a little bit, away he goes. He said, You know, he says he's just he's got a big stride for a small horse, as you can see, and
Yes.
Julio's just sitting there, as you can see, just effortlessly. The other guy's kind of just pushing just a little bit to get going, but Julio was like, man, Wesley, if I was just to give him one little tap on the shoulder or move my hands a little bit, he said he would have been gone. He said he can just feel the power and energy underneath him.
Well, I mean, both of these horses are beautiful. As I said, you also have Fandom here, and we're gonna go ahead and watch Fandom in his debut. And this is a horse that, let me see, what was the, just checking out the, yeah, this is a horse that actually has been McElroy, who's been part of the team for years here. You guys picked this horse up at the Tattersall's October yearling sale. What was it that caught the attention of Ben?
Well, I sort of do all the, especially in Europe, all the picking to Ben. I've got a he's
Huh?
just a tremendous when it comes to buying these horses, you know, and finding the horses that are going to fit into what we're trying to achieve in Ascot. He's done extremely well over the years for us, and for Barbara as well. So he's made my job a lot easier. You know, when you get these athletes on your team, you know, and then you're able to sort of manage them properly and correctly, then you can do great things. So his job is vital. It's the most important actually, is to get the horses that can run, and then everything else, you know, and it's you just try to manage the horses and get them there.
This one by Showcasing, who was fast, and then Pivotal is the dam sire. He's just been a tremendous broodmare sire, very influential. I mean, that's a horse. Yeah, he won the Nunthorpe and the King's Stand. But this horse here, I mean, he just took it from the jump. Ended up scoring by 6 3/4 lengths. Again, just question to you: did you expect him to win first out the way in which he did it?
You know, we did most of his breezes are on the dirt. Um, so, you know, obviously this horse is bred top and bottom for the grass. And
Oh
as you
yeah.
can see, when he got on it, it was just like a fish to water, you know, away he went. And it was a great debut. Um, did everything right. He as well has come out very sound. No soundness issues that we've had to contend with this guy. So we're really looking forward to this guy as well. He's, you know, it'd be hard to separate the two in the workouts, you know, if you were talking to Julio.
Well, so are we looking at both of them are going to be pointed to the Norfolk, which is a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint?
No, we're
No?
gonna
Oh,
pre-enter. We're gonna pre-enter him into a couple of various different races.
okay.
Both being one, but we're gonna center in on the Coventry for this guy as well as the
Oh,
Castle. But you know, I doubt Barbara's gonna want to put them together. You know,
right.
there can only be one winner. So
Only good, right.
yeah, so
Unless you dead
we're
heat.
kind of we're gonna try to divide and conquer there a little bit.
I like that. All right. Good strategy. Now, behind you, I was going to save her for last, but she's right behind you and she's beautiful. You tell everybody who this is.
Twilight Gleaming,
Oh,
Royal
look.
Breeders' Cup winner.
Yes. And I have her replay right here of winning the Juvenile Turf Sprint. This was another great European pickup, right? I mean, at the sales.
Yeah, you got to give it to Ben. He's
Oh, for sure. Well, I'm giving the wrong one here. That was the, let's see here. Yeah. I mean, what was it about her that captured his attention?
again, he's just he's got a great eye for what we're trying to accomplish and achieve. And he got Barbara Breeders' Cup win there. It was a great day. It's a great day for me. I won with Golden Pal as well the following day.
Yes.
It was you can't beat it.
Well, 6-time Breeders' Cup winning trainer, and then you won the Juvenile Turf Sprint 3 consecutive years in a row, right?
Let's keep it going.
Yeah. I mean, 4-wheel drive. You have Golden Pal. You have Twilight Gleaming 2021.
Yeah.
The Euros came over in last year, but still, I mean, you're gonna I think have to get yourself back in here in the mix when you've got horses like this in the barn. I mean, it is hard to separate when you see such tremendous talent with horses like American Rascal, what he's already just shown, and then Fandom, what he has shown as well. And you also have a really nice 2-year-old filly we'll talk about here in a sec. But yeah, Twilight Gleaming. This was a tremendous performance. You had another horse in this race that people were really looking at, but she was the one that got the job done. Let's see here. What you finished first and fourth, was it?
Yeah,
I believe.
But it's all her. It's all her right now.
Oh no, for sure.
We're not going to steal her show there.
Let's see here. We also just saw her recently win the Giants Causeway, which I have also. What is it like keeping them going from that 2-year-old champion season into, the next stage of the career? Now we're in 2023. She was winning that in 2021. So coming in as a 4-year-old and just keeping her in form.
This was a great race. All my horses, Royal Ascot or Breeders' Cup, we try to give them the winter off. It's just tough for them to go 12 months a year. So we gave her some time over with Brent Comer at the farm here in Lexington at Barber's Farm. And then they go down to Ian Brennan and Stone Street, and he lets them come into their own and gives them several works until they come up to here to Keeneland, to where we'll take them up to Turfway. Sometimes we'll get some inclement weather to where I'll sort of utilize the polytrack at Turfway. I'll ship them up for the day and breeze and come back. And they just make my job a lot easier because the horses are fit and ready to go when they come from Ian. And it's just a question of managing from there right into the spring here at Keeneland. And then, obviously if they run as well as she does, we're pointing towards Royal Ascot.
Yeah, it was she moves so like the shoulder, you're just pulling her along. She's just a beautiful horse, and it looks like she does it just well within herself when she runs. Obviously, it makes your job a lot easier when you have a horse who moves so efficiently, right? There are less problems, less hiccups.
Yeah, well, I mean, when they're talented like this, you try to do everything for them to, keep them going down the straight and narrow.
Well, next, let's talk. Well, I actually have video of her. Again, she has worked since this, but I have video of her working in tandem with Love Reigns, who's another multiple stakes winner of yours. Let's see here. And she recently won the Limestone Stakes, which we can show. But here's the work with the two of them together. And then Love Reigns actually went on. I don't have this video. I wish I did. I guess Love Reigns recently worked with this 2-year-old filly we're going to talk about in a sec also. But right here, this is Twilight Gleaming and Love Reigns on track. This is on May 26th.
Yeah. So we spotted her, the 3-year-old Love Reigns a few lengths there, and Julio's back there just kind of biding his time and has a target to come to. And when they turn for home, she sort of eases out, as you can see, and just kind of gradually eases right up to her, just effortlessly. And it's everything you want to see when you're going into a Group 1 race like this. I mean, she seems to just be on the improve, and we're excited.
Oh gosh, look at them come down the stretch here. Beautiful tandem. It does them great benefit to be the fact that you have multiple stakes winners who can work together. Obviously, hardens them up for their actual competition in the afternoon, I would think. But yeah, Love Reigns, she recently won the Limestone Stakes. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. And it also has to feel mighty, mighty good to have these horses coming off such nice scores against stakes competition. And here we are.
Now she's going to bypass Ascot, and she's going to go on to the Coronation Stakes at Saratoga.
Hey, all good. But now is the filly with whom she worked, Bundchen, going to go over for...
Yeah, the Queen Mary.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at Oh, you know what? I do have Bundchen's work with Arrest Me Red from the 26th also. But this is a filly owned by Three Chimneys Farm, a gun runner filly that they actually picked up for over 700,000, I believe. 770 or let me see.
Yeah, 700. 700.
And the fact that she is by their stallion gun runner already, I mean, when you see a farm buy one of their stud scion, I think it bodes especially well for the belief they have in the horse. But she put in a great performance. I don't have that one pulled up, but she got beat just by narrow margin on debut. And that was after having led the way. And this horse, she's going to be pointed toward the Queen Mary.
She is. I'll tell you what happened is that early on we identified that this filly, her preferred surface would be the grass down in Florida. Even though she's by Gun Runner, she was working down in Florida much better on the grass, and Joelle was working her as well at Palm Meadows on the grass, and she was just kind of, you could just tell, like, this is where we're going. And so there's 2 races early in the spring in the United States that they have on the grass, and only 2, and that at Keeneland. So one for colts, that's where we've seen Fandom, and the filly, this is the one that we identified as the one we were going to run in the race. And unfortunately, we had a big rain that day at the end of the meeting, and then it came off. And so we sort of thought, well, what are we going to do? This is our home track. Do we run on the dirt, which we know it isn't her preferred surface, but she's had quite a bit of training, very good, solid foundation underneath her, and there's going to be no grass racing. So this gives us plenty of time to, hopefully we can win and we can move to the surface that she prefers. She ran a great race on a track that she doesn't like, main track surface, where she bounced right out, broke a little slow, kind of bounced. Joelle had to kind of hustle her up a little bit, and she opened up, and just on the last, the last millisecond, we got beat. Take nothing away from the winner, as I always say, but I'd like to have a do-over on the grass to see what she could do, because her workout since each and every work on the grass here at Keeneland being 3 works, her last one being very, very good. Her first work on the grass, she had some antics, and she's a very easygoing filly. Like, nothing bothers her. You could gallop her on there with 2 fingers. She's just a sweetheart to train with no issues. And going on the grass, she was kind of rearing up, and I was wondering, what's going on? And she got, as they kind of kicked off down the backside with Rescue Red, who's almost a $900,000 earner. I had Julio on the old horse tour that he could sort of just kind of come to her, like we just seen on that workout with Twilight Gleaming and Love Reigns. And she wasn't visually that impressive. It wasn't a Royal Ascot workout.
This is what you're talking about here, where she's kind of rearing up,
throwing her head up in the air. And
yes,
very uncomfortable. And that's just not her. And so we got her back to the barn, started cooling her out, and couldn't really find anything wrong with her. Everything was sound, normal. And then later on that afternoon, her undercarriage was significantly blown up underneath her belly to where the rider had tightened the girth up so tight. That's why you can see those antics there.
Okay.
With her head thrown up, and also coming onto the turf, she was rearing up quite some time. She was just very uncomfortable. And so her following work, the edema had dissipated, but it was still there to where we had to work her in a breast collar, and couldn't tighten the girt very tight. So her following work from this one a week later was much better. And her last work, where she's perfect, which was Friday, was Royal Ascot Queen Mary good. It was really good. So I'm really, really excited for this filly.
Well, getting chills about that. I wish I had video of that, but they didn't have it. I'm thankful that they have any of the works, though, because it's always fun to go and look. And Keeneland does a tremendous job in giving us that, the inside scoop, so to speak, of seeing how these horses are training. I will say, going back to this filly's pedigree, I mean, it's so much fun, with this being a Breeders' Cup show. Got to give a shout out, by Gun Runner. That's a Breeders' Cup Classic champion. Your mom's by Speightstown. Speightstown won the 2004 Breeders' Cup Sprint. The mom here is a full sister to Belmont Derby Invitational winner Force the Pass. So that's really cool. And then I love this also. So in the pedigree, we've got Wonder Gal. Wonder Gal was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, but she's also the dam of Wonder Wheel, who won the Juvenile Fillies and was Eclipse champion 2-year-old. So it's just one of those. And we've also got Perfect Drift, by the way, in the mix. I mean, multimillionaire, but it's a great pedigree. And from this standpoint, again, of being a Breeders' Cup show, it's really fun to see those lines play out. For you, what do you see when you look at this in terms of what she can do going forward?
I really look forward to stretching her out down the, we got several options. especially Kentucky Downs, and we've got the fall at Keeneland, and hopefully the Breeders' Cup going a mile out in California. But we'll take it one race at a time. We're focused on a week from Wednesday here, so hopefully.
Oh no, for sure. And I will say this for the Torrealbas, I've heard only good things. I've never met Mr. Torrealba, but I was over at Three Chimneys recently, and I saw Gunrunner up close, and he's just got a tremendous temperament on top of everything else. He was so cool, so chill. He actually had a date that was coming up in just about half hour, and yet he was still very composed and not acting studdish or anything of that nature. Is her temperament like his?
She's very easygoing. Like I was saying earlier, she's no problems to train. That's very straightforward. Does everything right. We just warn the riders they get on. Don't tighten the girth too tight. So then after that, everything's good.
So tell us just on the roundup then. What are the next steps for you? This afternoon, going into tomorrow to get these horses shipped and ready to go. Yourself shipped and ready to go. And like you said, when you get in there, you don't want the jet lag. Will you try to also relax with a Pim's Cup ahead of time?
I tell you, anymore it's that's a long week in Ascot. So you try to stay away from that. I didn't at first. The first few years, I charged right at it. And
did you?
I sure did. Now that you got the gray hair going on, you learn as you. That's the best learning is through experience. But it's the greatest place. I mean, for everybody who's watching your wonderful show here,
thank you.
If you haven't been to Royal Ascot, you need to go.
I so want to.
It's such a great experience, and when the races start at 2:30 in the afternoon is the first race of the day, and that primarily is a 2-year-old race.
Yeah.
And that kind of kicks it off, and so everybody's just dressed to the nines. Everybody, the guys are all in the top hat and the tails, and the ladies have the big hats and beautiful dresses, and they're walking around the place with an air about them. You feel like you're in a movie. It's the first few years I was kind of taken back by it. Now it's I understand it, but it is so funny because the way it goes is you're going from race to race like you would anywhere, but and you find your place. There's a million different bars and little places you can go to have a drink and watch race to race and sort of experience the whole Ascot grandstand and everything, and but. By the end of the day, in the last race, there's they have a what they call a sing-along, to where there's a bit on the other side of the paddock. They have a band that plays all these different songs each and every day, and there's you got a book that you can read, and a lot of them are American songs, John Denver and what have you, and everybody has just had their fill of champagne. And they're singing along, and it's just a very joyous place and festive place. And you never seen so many people in your life that are dressed to the nines, and the ladies are falling down and this and that because the champagne starts to take effect. And all the drinks you've had on the day, and there's so many people got to get helped out of there, and you wouldn't. The way they came in isn't the way they go out. It's just the greatest place. I mean, it brings everybody right down to normal level from the start to the finish, and it's just everybody should go and experience these wonderful horses and everything. It's just great.
I love it. No, Royal Ascot and the Melbourne Cup, which is another one of those events where I believe you go in looking nice and you might be walking out without your shoes.
Right. Now, Ren, I have to take this call. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Wesley Ward has got to take a call, but we thank him for his time. Thank you. Best of luck at Royal Ascot. We wish you just tremendous success.
You have a wonderful day, and always thank you for having me on your wonderful show.
Thank you for kicking it off with me.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, Wesley Ward, and we're going to let him go. I'm going to let you know that, yes, we have Win and You're in action happening at Royal Ascot. Let's go ahead, share the screen. We'll tell you what it's all about right here, the Challenge Series overview. And actually, before we get to that, we'll talk about what happened this past weekend at Belmont Park. We had Cody's Wish get his Win and You're in for the dirt mile there in the Hillendale Metropolitan Handicap, aka the Met Mile Caravel. Oh my goodness, this filly, she's been continuing that streak, that winning streak of hers by taking on the boys and winning the Jaipur. She, of course, having won the Breeders' Cup Turf. And then we have Clary Eyre. She repeated in the Ogden Phipps, a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Distaff, in which she was just that narrow third place finish to Malatot and Blue Stripe. So very exciting action. We're also going to go ahead and show you what you're going to be looking forward to at Royal Ascot. Talking about the King's Stand Stakes, and that is going to be a win and you're in for the Turf Sprint. And then we have the Queen Anne Stakes on that same card, June 20th, which is the opening day of Royal Ascot on Thursday. That is a win and you're in for the Fandom Mile. And then the Prince of Wales is on June 21st. Winning you're in for the Longines Turf and the Norfolk Stakes. That is, of course, a win and you're in for the Juvenile Turf Sprint. And we'll be looking forward to seeing the one, the only American Rascal in that event. So hopefully you had as much fun as I did. I mean, how cool not only to speak with Wesley Ward, but when he's right there at the barn and hanging at his wing chick. You had Twilight Gleaming, again, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint champ, who's gone on to have a tremendously successful career beyond that 2-year-old champ season. And I want to thank you all. Next week, we'll see who will get that guest to be, but we'll get more into bringing in your questions and comments as we move along. Again, this is just the first episode of the season. We've got a long road ahead of us as we get ever closer to the Breeders' Cup World Championships in November. Those tickets are on sale right now. You can check it out at breederscup.com. And to close things out, just talking about American Rascal, for example, being a son of Curlin. And then we saw Clary Eyre, a daughter of Curlin. Well, one of the other win in your ins, won again by Cody's Wish, that Met Mile, and he, a son of Curlin. And I just got to say, I mean, that to me, from this past weekend, we saw a lot of great performances, of course. We saw Jenna Antonucci become the first female trainer to win the Belmont Stakes there with Archangelo. So that was very cool. But to me, the race of the day was Cody's Wish. And so we're going to close it out with that again, a win and you're in, back for the Dirt Mile, which he won last year. We'll see if he can continue on this road. What a great winning streak he's on right now. And of course, that connection he has with a boy named Cody Dorman. If you don't know the story, look it up. But again, going to close it out with Cody's Wish in the 2023 Met Mile.
There in the gate. And they're off in the Hillendale Metropolitan Handicap. Cody's Wish from that inside post was off a step slow. It is Slow Down Andy and White Abario on the outside, and between those two, it is Hoist the Gold. So it's three of them across. Repo Rocks sits just behind them in fourth. Then it's Charge It next in fifth. On the outside is Zandon. And then we come back to a Doppelganger. On the inside is Cody's Wish. The opening quarter went in 22 and 3/5 seconds. So it is Dr. Shivel who's in between horses. Slow Down Andy on the inside and Hoist the Gold on the outside. The three of them across the track for the lead. White Abario runs in fourth. Charge It is on the move on the outside in the fifth. Then comes Repo Rocks, followed next by Zandon. Then the favorite, Cody's Wish. Doppelganger is at the back. Opening half mile in 45 and 4/5 seconds. Long shot, Hoist the Gold. Challenged on the inside by Slow Down Andy. Dr. Shivel has dropped back. Charge It has now advanced into third. Cody's Wish is making a big move on the extreme outside. Cody's Wish is picking off horses as they come for the top of the stretch in the Met Mile. Here comes Cody's Wish on the outside. Now to grab the lead. Slow Down Andy down towards the rail. It is Cody's Wish in front. Cody's Wish is drawing away. Cody's Wish putting in a huge effort here. Then it's Zandon and White Abario. But it's Cody's Wish, and this beautiful racing story continues with this terrific racehorse. He has now won 6 in a row. Cody's Wish, winner of the Grade 1 Met Mile.